We're spinning, we're live. Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday. Today is Saturday, February 5th, 2022. It is the first Saturday in Black History Month. Cheers to Black History Month, where we are blackity black every day, and we real extra black and educating the folks on in February. So happy Saturday, y'all. All right, so we're gonna get into this. It is the Wealth, Wisdom, and Well-Being Show. I am Hyacinth Henderson, and each and every time you see me, hear me, in these internet streets, and quite frankly off the internet streets too, I am talking about wealth, wisdom, and well-being. I am passionate about self-development. That is mine and yours as well. And so we are not true to this, we are not new to this, we are true to this, and we get right into it. Okay, all right, so today we're going to talk about the fact that you are playing the game. Child, when you playing the game, life is a game. I figured I'm gonna say it how it came to me. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. In 2022, we are not sugarcoating things anymore. We're not doing that no more. Somebody say we ain't doing that no more. I saw something earlier this week on the internet, and I'm actually following this lady on Facebook, and I was like, what? Oh, let me see. What does she do? She has all these followers. I don't really remember following her, but she has all these followers. And so I went to her page, and I was like, okay, I can see why I started following her, but I couldn't see what she did. And so I Googled, right? Because I'm that person that likes to learn. I like to research. So I Googled, and she started posting. I forget the year, but her thing was if she showed up for herself unapologetically every single day, how would her life change? And so she started posting and just sharing things every day. And I said, you know what, Hyacinth? People are literally asking me if I have a podcast when I have two. People are literally asking me if I do video teachings, and I do them several times a week. That is because you are not sharing the information and promoting yourself. So we're going to be unapologetic about this thing. I'm going to share a whole lot with y'all. All right. So life is a game. Life is a game. We're going to tie this in because before I was kind of thinking, can you say it like that? You know, in my Betty Wright voice, I know you're not going to sing that song. Yes, I'm going to say it just like that. Life is a game. And I want you to understand that life is a game, because oftentimes we like to sugarcoat stuff and use fancy words and make it seem like something to soften the reality. And the reality of it is we are individually playing a game of life. My reality is not your reality. My experience is not your experience. I want you to let that sink in. My experience is not your experience. We could be living in the same house. We could be very, very close and still have different experiences, different perceptions about reality. Our realities are different. I ain't checked my lip gloss. It might be a bit much, but y'all gonna bear with it today. So we need to understand that. And when you start, all right, we good. When you start understanding it in that way, then you'll be like, okay, since Hyacinth enlightened me and shared with me that life is a game. When I say life is a game, I got a visual of a game board. And so when we think life is a game, I immediately got a visual of pieces. Like, oh, okay, if life is a game, I get to choose. I get to choose who I want my avatar to be, what piece of the puzzle. I get to make choices when we are playing the game of life. When we sit down, when I used to play Monopoly with my family, I don't play it no more because my son is very competitive and they just take it to a different level. But when we used to sit down, there was a part where we would sit down and who do you want to be? You want to be the top hat? You want to be the car? You want to be... So when you understand that you are playing a game, you're like, okay, I get to choose. And that's very, very important, because there are so many people playing this game of life, living this game of life without the realization and the understanding that, baby, you get to choose. So life is a game. And today I'm going to cover 3 topics, 3 points that you need to be focused on in this game of life. 3 areas of focus if you want to win, air quoting. In other words, if you want to have an enjoyable gaming experience. You should be up now. Facebook still don't let me see the comments, so I'm not ignoring y'all if y'all comments, and I do appreciate you commenting and coming through. But Facebook does not allow me to see them at this time. And the comments kind of distract me anyway, because I multitask and I got my glasses. It becomes a bit much. So here are 3 areas that we need to be focused on. Child, lip gloss. That we need to be focused on if we want to have a winning experience. The first is your mind. All right, you got the game board in front of you. You didn't know it was a game yesterday. Today, you know it's a game. Number 1, The first area when I'm choosing my pieces, when I'm choosing my avatar, when I'm choosing how I'm going to play this game, the first area you need to be focused on is your mind. Somebody say mind. Drop mine in the comment section. Drop mine. Go ahead and drop mine in the comment section for me this morning. This rising, drop mine in the comment section. Here's why you need to be focused on your mind. Here's the thing. Last night I was having a conversation with my brother last night. And he said in conversation, he said, man, I just feel really hopeful. And I said to him, I said, you know, Bobby, Obama won 2 presidencies off of hope. Don't let that go over your head. I said, feeling hopeful is such a beautiful place to be in because it gives you the power. It gives you the understanding to know that there is more available to you. And with all the racism going on in America, they put him in there 2 times. And what he campaigned on was hope. So when you understand how powerful your mind is, then you'll begin to understand on why there's such an attack on your mind. Because if your mind is under attack, I can guarantee you that you do not feel hopeful. If your mind is under attack, if the media and the music are attacking your mind so deeply, and it's a covert attack. It's not like, hey, we're attacking your mind. It's a covert attack. If you find yourself feeling more fearful than hopeful, if you find yourself feeling more lazy and just don't have a zest, you got to check what you're putting in your mind. You got to check what's going on in the media. That's print media, social media, news media, radio media, and the music. Because people are literally having their minds attacked and not realizing that in this game of life, the number one thing that I need is my mind. When I sit around and I look at how far we've come, I often think about, I'm 40, right? And so I know that a lot of times people see you where you are. And so many of you have different versions and different stories that you have made up about me and my experience in your mind. And that's okay, because I know we don't really know each other, right? And even the people that know me, they still got it twisted a little bit. But when I sit back and I think about the fact that, like, yo, I literally had my daughter 24 days after my 19th birthday. Like, I literally had my daughter 24 days later, boom, now you a mama, what you gonna do? I literally had her 24 days after my 19th birthday. Literally grew up in a broken home. My mother and my father divorced at a very young age. Literally grew up in that. Literally had all these experiences, and it was nothing more than my mind. And yes, the prayers. I'm not going to discount the prayers and the protection, because I live in love for that. I love and live for that. But my mind needed to be able to do the work. My mind needed to be able to see things differently. My mind needed to be able to receive things. And so when you think about how you can really, literally create a new experience with your mind, then you will say the first thing that I am going to protect and pour into in this game of life, because we all playing a game, is my mind. If you look around, I see that this internet thing has gotten us so connected, where us folks, my skin color folks, we have access to rooms, to opportunities that we didn't have before. And we have this access while sitting. Excuse me for the podcast listeners, that's a water break. All right. Yeah, with me? Okay, stay with me. We literally have access to these opportunities, to these rooms, to these experiences while sitting at home. We have this access at the palm of our hands. We have this access so much so that all we have to do is tap into different spaces of our mind to realize that we have this access, and we can literally change our life. We can become a millionaire by sitting at home in our drawers, by creating based on what comes to our mind. We can use our mind to create things to change our life. We can use our mind to create a better future for ourselves. We can use our minds to create a better life for ourselves. We can use our minds. You don't understand me about the power of your mind. You sick of your job. You sick of this, that, and next. Maybe you don't want to be a millionaire. Maybe you want to be financially stable and financially independent. You can literally use your gifts But you got to have your gifts connected to your mind, because your mind, if your mind ain't right and ripe, you won't be able to see the gifts and extract the information to be able to use the gifts and put the gifts together. You ever see somebody that's sitting on something and you like, you sitting on that and you complaining? Like, if I had your opportunities, if I had your gifts, if I had your experiences, I would do A, B, C. That is because there needs to be something going on in their mind. There needs to be a renewing of their mind. They don't see it the way that you see it. So when we think about our mind, when we think about, dang, I'm complaining, I'm broke, I'm poor, I'm unhappy, I'm this and this, the first thing you want to do is check your mind. And when I said the word broke, that reminded me, let's go back very briefly to what I talked about last week. And I said broke people shouldn't date. And I know some of y'all picked up exactly what I was putting down immediately. Some of you didn't. Let me just say this, because I don't want to try to force feed it to you. I want you to get it in your own time. But let me just say this. Broke is not a function of a dollar amount. Broke is not a function of your income or your salary. And what I was doing in last week's episode was tying in the fact that brokenness and brokenness, who you are closely related. I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and we've been doing some healing work. We've been doing some work together. And now all of a sudden, child, we talking about money opportunities, business opportunities. They can see, oh, well, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. Yes, baby, because we're healing that brokenness, and it's going to directly affect your brokenness. So when I say broke, I'm not saying low income. That's what I wanted to say. Broke doesn't mean low income, because there's some people that's making 6 figures and baby, y'all broke. I see the numbers every single day. You're making 6 figures and you're broke because you're broken, because you're still seeking and searching, and you're using them 6 figures that you're making to try to buy your love, buy your freedom, buy your attention. And that's stemming from your brokenness. And although you're making 6 figures, you're still broke. So just brokenness does not equate to low income, because there are people who are low income and they are whole and they're financially stable. They're financially independent. Okay, let's get back into it. So we talk about your mind. The first thing in this game of life, baby, you got to figure what's going on with your mind. The media, the music, all that, we got to figure out. We got to figure out how to program our minds. And I say this to you all the time. I talk about meditating. I talk about sitting in silence. I share with you how I literally listen to audios. I want you, let me just briefly say this, and I'm going to go on because I got on here a little later today. In the rising, a part of my rising routine is for me to look at, just to look at certain pictures, certain diagrams, certain, like I get in my, and I just look. And these are very intentional things that I am looking at. And I look at them and they open up my consciousness and program my mind so that I can see things differently. You exhausted, Hyacinth? You need to look at this picture. Look at this picture. Last night, child, I knew I needed to be in the bed, but I couldn't. Because yesterday afternoon, I took a minute to say, let me look at this. Let me wake that mind up a little bit. It wasn't a Diet Coke. It wasn't a Pepsi. It wasn't a sugar. It was, let me just look at something. And so somebody who don't know what they looking at, they may be like, oh, what you looking at that for? Baby, I'm looking at something because we're going to the moon. We got a lot of changes going on at Henderson Financial Group. And I have got to tap into my mind because I understand how powerful my mind is. I understand that I get to control my mind. So I know that when I look at this for 3, 4, 5 minutes, that it's going to give me the energy that your Diet Coke, Pepsi, or crack can't do. It's going to give me that. And I'm sharing that because I want you to understand that your minds can be programmed. You can literally program your mind. You can receive energy. You can, when you program your mind, and I keep talking about bank account because it's supposed to, with Henderson Financial Group, we talk about money. And that's where a lot of people's focus is. When you program your mind, baby, your bank account is always going to be thick. It's going to be real thick. It's going to be real nice. So the number one thing is your mind. CeeLo said it seems like we're fighting for our spirit and our mind. So I want to ask you, what are you doing with your mind? This is a game of life, and we are playing a game. You get to change your mind. You get to control your mind. You get to program your mind. You get to do that. You get to do it. Let's go on. The second thing is sight. Let's talk about sight. The second thing, now we're the game of life, and you're thinking about what you need. These are 3 areas you need to focus on. First is your mind. Second is sight. We're going to talk about physical sight. We're going to talk about spiritual sight. We're going to talk about all types of sight really quickly because I don't want Henderson coming up here. Now, I want to say this because I'm 40. I'll be 41 in August. And it is astonishing to me. And I have lots of conversations with my father, who's 63 and he'll be 64. I have lots of conversations with him. And the conversations I end up saying, they can't see. They can't see. And so the other day I asked him, as I look at everything that's going on now in the world, and there are lots of changes in the world. We don't have to get into that, but there are lots of changes. And there are lots of changes going on where people just can't see. And so one of them, let me say this, one of them is where, yes, we have a shortage of workers, but we don't have a shortage of work. So you go places and places are closing early and places are changing their hours and their availability because they're having a shortage of workers, but it's not a shortage of work. And that a part of that comes from the workers feeling like they're worthy of more money without the skill. Why? I don't sleep on that. The workers are feeling like they're worthy of more money without the skill, because you're seeing everything progressing in life around you and you feel entitled that they should pay me more, even though I don't have the skill. I'm not talking about the people who changed from one job and went to another job and they got more than they asked for. I'm not talking about y'all, because I understand that's a very real thing. I'm talking about the people who are using their limited sight based on what's in front of them on social media and wherever else, and feeling like I deserve to be paid this. I deserve to drive that. I deserve to wear this. And you have not activated your gifts. So you are not walking in your giftedness. So therefore you don't have the skill, and you want these people to pay you top dollar because you feel like you should, because the cost of things are going up. That's a misalignment. And so I said to my dad the other day, we were going up the road. I said to him, I said, don't they realize this is going to be for a short time, not a long time? Like, there is not going to be a holdout where the workers without skills are going to be able to say, child, I want to bling, bling, a ching, ching too. And since you ain't paying me, I ain't working. And the corporations and the businesses are just going to say, well, okay, we're going to eventually give in. No, baby, we setting up systems and processes and automations and AI and robots and all of these things to do your job. So when we cross that threshold and you still don't have the skill and you realize, oh, shoot, it's been 12, 18, 24 months. I still can't get nobody to hire me because I have not tapped into my giftedness, because I have not tapped into my mind. Now I want to go back. No, we don't need you anymore. So I was speaking with my dad about that. I'm like, gosh, this is just such a phenomenon to me. Why can't they see that, like, this is a train wreck? Like, hello, this is a train wreck. And I said, gosh, you must have experienced this back in your day, back in the 70s, when like drugs became a big deal, when everybody was doing drugs. And he said, yes, Hyacinth, I did. And I said, what did you see? Like, everybody, drugs was like, cool. It's that y'all making it cool again now too, by the way. Just say no. Say no. Okay. All right. So I said to him, I said, when this was a phenomenon and drugs were so cool and this, how did you not do, like, everybody, it was almost like everybody is doing it. He said, Hyacinth, people used to try to chase me around and give me drugs, you know, my friends and stuff. He said, but I saw it and it passed and things like that. And so I'm sharing that because a lot of y'all have limited sight. You're using just the things that you can see, your two eyeballs, these two sockets right here. You're using those to make long-term decisions. So you see the people on social media, you see your neighbors, you see people posting and pretending and flogging and fronting and all that kind of stuff. And you see that and you start to feel like, I got to get in on that too. And so then, because you're looking with limited sight of your physical 3D eyesight and not tapping into your third eye or not having any foresight, you are setting yourself up for failure down the line. It reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on to the next point because your sight is so important. I remember because back in the day, child, we didn't have no cable. We didn't have cable. We watched Wizard of Oz on VHS over and over and over and over again. That and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I remember Wizard of Oz and Dorothy and Toto and the whole crew, them gang. They spent all this time trying to get to see the wizard. And there were valuable lessons on their journey to see the wizard. We're not going to talk about those lessons today, but there were some valuable lessons. When they finally made it and they saw behind the curtain and they saw it was a little old man, they were like, hold up. All this time, we thought it was this. We went through HELL. I still cuss in front of my daddy, y'all. Okay. We went through, we went through a lot to get here. We went through all of this because we had this, we thought it was going to be this based on what we heard and what we could see with our eyes. And we probably missed some of the messages along the way. And this is what it is. I promise you that's how life is. And here's one way I see it. I see it with people in their money. As I said, broke does not equal low income. I see people with high income and y'all are broke because you're only looking at today. You're only looking at today. And I want you, let me say this as well. This is not a black people problem. This is a human nature problem. It's a human behavior problem. The problem that I'm referring to is the desire for instant gratification, the limited foresight, the limited sight. It's not this black people we like to talk about. Black people, no, it's a human problem. It stands out more in our communities because we started behind the 8 ball, baby. We ain't start where they started. We were oppressed for over 400 years. So we started behind the 8 ball. And although it seemed like we got a level playing field right now, we know that there are policies and politicians and all that kind of stuff put in place that still discriminate. So it's not an overt thing. It's a covert thing. It's like, okay, maybe they won't see it. We'll give them a little this, a little that to make them feel like they winning. We'll let them get into they're making 100,000. They're making 150, 200,000. And they feeling like, but they still broke. They're still broke because they have not tapped in to the fact that they're going to have to delay instant gratification for a future result. The gift of sight. You're playing the game of life. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the game of life. Life is a game. My game, my strategy is different from yours. My strategy, imagine a Monopoly board. Monopoly brings it up out of you. Okay? Like I said, I don't play it with my son. Count me out of Monopoly. Put me in on taboo. Monopoly can't do it. But when you sit down and you play Monopoly, your strategy is different than your neighbor's strategy. They got some ideas in mind. They're moving a certain way based on where they want to go, what their goal is. That's how it is in this game of life. So when you think about that, you have to say, wait a minute, if we know that it's human behavior, it's natural human behavior for us to want instant gratification. And I realize I'm tapped into a higher income. I'm tapped into a higher salary. However, I need to have the foresight to be able to move differently. I got to have the foresight to move differently because I know one day, the day is going to come when I look behind the curtain and I say, you mean to tell me all those people who I thought had it together didn't have it together? You mean to tell me that was posting all these vacation pictures on Instagram and they got $0 in the bank? You mean to tell me they don't got no life insurance? You mean to tell me their house, like when you get there, you're going to be like, I was a fool. And maybe it's not going to be, you mean to tell me about other people. It's going to be, you mean to tell me I was making $100,000 for the past 10, 20 years and all I got at retirement is $50,000? Let's break it down a little bit more. You mean to tell me I was making $75,000 for the past 20 years and now it's retirement? Because we're going to show you the mirror at the Henderson Financial Group. Now it's retirement and I'm calling these people and I'm saying, hey, I want to retire. I'm ready. I done did my time. In some cases, y'all ain't did the time, but you want to go anyway. And that's just fine. We just going to show you the numbers. Hey, I've been making 75,000, 100,000. Get it. How much you got? What you? I got maybe 40,000 in my 401k. Okay. Maybe 150,000 in my 401k. Okay. What about in the bank? What about? No, I don't have nothing else. So now let's do the math, because we're going to do 75 times 30 years or 75 times 10 years. And this is how much money you had coming in. And this is what you have now. You're going to need some sight. In this game of life, you're going to need some sight. So the prayer, the request, the affirmation is, allow me to see the things that I cannot see. Allow me to see the things that I cannot see that are good for me. Allow me to see the things that I cannot see that are in the best interest of me. That's the prayer. That's the affirmation. That's the focus. That's the journaling. Allow me to see myself and all my giftedness and all my glories. Allow me to see my gifts so that I can then activate my gifts and I won't be feeling entitled and out of order and misaligned. Third thing, and I'm going to go body. I already talked about this. Going over my notes. Yes, I already said human nature says I want it now. Black, brown, white, whatever. It doesn't matter what color you are. It ain't just a black folks problem. Third thing you need to focus on in this game of life, you sitting down, you like, all right, I'm suited and booted. I'm in it to win it. I'm going to play this game. Got to get your mind right. Check. Got to get your sight right. Check. You got to get your body right. Check, check, checkity check. Why do you got to get your body right? Here's the thing, y'all. Every ache, every pain, every lab result is a symptom. It's a symptom. Every ache, every pain, it's a symptom that's crying and saying, hey, help me. There's a misalignment. There's an imbalance here. There's an imbalance somewhere in the veins, the arteries, the capillaries, all of that stuff that you can't see. And since you can't see it, most humans only go based on what they can see. We just talked about that. That's why you got to spend some time with sight. Since you can't see it, you think, oh, we good. I keep eating fried food every day and I'm good. I look good, so I'm good. Every symptom, every ache, every pain, every lab result is a symptom of an imbalance. And if you are in it to win it, if you have just sat down and you say, you know what? We playing Monopoly again, and I know this one is competitive. And the last 3 Fridays we played, but I figured out a strategy, and I got it. And I got it already. I got my mind right. I got my sight right. I'm in it to win it. And then the game gets cut short because you have not been taking care of your body, your human suit. What? How you gonna win? Now you going on to the next life or heaven, whatever you believe. You ain't here no more. Whatever you believe, that's fine. How are you going to? So it's very, very interesting when you sit down and you think about it. If you think about all the plans you have, I'm creating generational wealth. I'm going to change my family's future. I'm going to get me some money. I'm going to do this. I'm going to show them this and this. But you refuse to take care of your body. The cause of all disease is first dis-ease. Dis-ease. And we're going to go a little bit deeper. It's dis-ease spiritually, energetically. The cause of all disease stems from a dis-ease, an imbalance, something that is out of order in the realms that you cannot see. So what you got to do first, you got to pull back and say, first of all, I talked to somebody the other day. I said, the first thing you want to do, because we hear, people don't tell you when they're real mean and nasty. People don't tell you. They tell you they're all nice, but they don't really tell you when they're unkind. So one of the first things that you want to do when you say, you know what, Hyacinth, you're right. I am going to take better care of my body. I want you to know it goes beyond going to the gym. Going to the gym is great. Exercising is great because you want to keep the joints lubricated and, flexible and all that stuff. You want to do that so you can walk. The first place you want to start, though, is inside, is the unseen. Who am I? Who am I? Am I unkind? Because it's a lot of mean and nasty people dressed up in all the name brand stuff, baby. A lot of mean and nasty people with all the best makeup and smiles and things that you think, and you wouldn't know that. So when you sit down and you say, okay, my body is breaking down. My body is screaming out for help. And we can do, Bob and I have done numerous shows. We've done them on Facebook. We also done them on Instagram. We've done numerous shows about what you should be eating and, you know, how to eat and all these things. We talked about that. But baby, you can get up in the rising and drink your lemon water first, and then follow that baby up with some warm celery juice, and then have you a fruit smoothie and eat fruit only till noon and do all that. And if you mean and nasty, you're going to have disease. You're going to have disease. Okay, you don't have to come on camera today. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. All right, y'all. I'm getting ready to go. Oh, look at your outfit. They don't think I'm... You want to come on? Come on. Come on. Put your head in so they can see your outfit. No. All right. They don't think I'm talking to myself. I already said you was coming up. All right, I got to go. Mr. Henderson is here. Have no fear. The Understanding Money Part 2 show is near. All right. So do yourselves a favor. Watch the replay. It's a game. We playing the game, baby. Are you suited and booted? Are you suited and booted with your mind, your sight, and your body? All right. If you have not done so, make sure that you share this video with your people, them, and stay safe and sane. Peace.